So thank you to John, Steve, Martin, Nick and John for great debate. And I'm sure you agree, a few provocative, perhaps welcome provocative statements put out there. What was it? The best form of advertising isn't advertising anymore. Excellent. So far, we have heard from the client about transforming their brand. We've heard from the agencies about transforming their model. Now we're going to go on to break this down a little bit further and think about how digital transforms all of marketing and look at that sort of in stages. So we're going to go on a journey through, this will work for me, the digital lens. Now, what do I mean by that? To explain what I mean by this is a phrase we started using about 2 years ago, but for those of you who haven't encountered it from Google, let me run another quick straw poll with you, another hands-up exercise, just to make the point. How many of you, hands up, have got the word marketing in your job title? Okay, probably about half, right? Put your hands down. How many of you have got the word digital in your job title? Okay, probably about another half. And how many of you are lucky enough to have both marketing and digital in your job title? Just a lucky few. Excellent. Good for you. Now, the reason I raised that exercise is simply because we've been doing that, asking that question for the last couple of years. And I think we are actually seeing a plateau of people who have digital in their title. The digital flow are starting to plateau. I think that's an interesting trend because, as with any new technology, at the beginning of that phase of technology, it's important to have specialists. It's important to have people who can bring capability. And I'm sure that back in the early days, there was once upon a time a vice president of electricity, and there was probably once upon a time the director of television. And in time, these skills, those capabilities, eventually weave themselves back into the fabric of the business. So that really is what this phrase was all about. It was really a phrase that we started to use almost to avoid talking about digital media, which was perhaps overused, that effectively suggested that digital was about channels and just about channels. We were even starting to avoid overuse of the term digital marketing, which suggested that there was another kind of normal marketing that wasn't digital. So we started talking about marketing through a digital lens. Really, we were just trying to express a new phase of the industry where digital, as I say, weaves itself back into the fabric of how marketing is done. Hopefully, you recognise this. We started talking about this 2 years ago. Hopefully, you recognise this and you're seeing this happen all around you all of the time. But concretely, what does this mean? So, to make it a little bit more concrete, let me introduce 4 I's, and this is a little framework that we'll use for the rest of this afternoon. The 4 I's stand for insight, ideas, implementation, and impact. It's really just a description of the job of the marketer. Andy talked at the beginning about getting the fundamentals right, and frankly, most marketers will recognise these, starting with insight, understanding consumers and brands, based on that, generating ideas about who to target, what to offer, how to communicate, and then based on those ideas, implementing. Andy said execution is critical. So creating the right ad, buying the right media in the right way with the most efficiency, and obviously at the end of the process, measuring the impact of that. The testing, the tracking, the ROI, figuring out what worked. So digital, our assertion, is that digital transforms all 4 I's. How we gather insight, how we generate ideas, how we implement, and indeed how we measure the impact. And to make the most of digital, as I said before, to be able to tell better stories and to deliver better results, we believe that we need to embrace change in all 4 I's. So I'm going to use these 4 I's as a framework just to help us navigate through the rest of this afternoon. So on with the show. To kick us off on our journey through the digital lens, we're going to start with a case study of a brand that has amazing heritage in brilliant digital work. Unilever's flagship deodorant brand, Lynx, has for quite a number of years now been giving guys around the nation a little bit of a helping hand in the mating game. Selena Sykes is the marketing manager of Lynx. She's responsible for all marketing plans and business plans for Lynx in the UK and Ireland. And she's just launched Lynx Excite. It has rapidly become the second biggest selling variant in just a number of months. And she's even won an award at Cannes Lions for some of her digital work. So to bring the four eyes to life, Selena is going to tell us her story from insights to ideas, implementation and impact. And she's going to be explaining to us how digital storytelling has helped make angels fall for guys all around the nation. Over to Selena.